the business back onto yourself to say, is that the sort of thing you're doing as part of your job? So I think it's been a really kind of, we've given people time and space to really kind of think about that, take a step back from their day jobs and just think about it. I think the other thing is people really need to see that other people across the organisation are in the same boat. And I've been really keen on getting some communications in place which are a bit more, rather than in your face kind of, this is SM&R and this is Joe, he manages a site, he's done all this fantastic stuff, he's delivering all these outcomes. It's more about this is Joe. He had a conversation in the corridor with somebody. They decided that they weren't quite sure how to take this forward, so they got a few people together and they just started talking about this. It's more sort of subtle comms about, we just talk to people and discover it, for yourself. So it's kind of partly making people feel that it's okay not to know everything about SM&R. It's okay to ask. It's okay to talk to other people, and try something different. I mean, we had our chief executive on the training course last week, and she said at the end of the training course, she said, if it's not illegal, if it doesn't cost the earth, just try it. Try something different, because you never know what success you might come of it. So
Okay.
Just nudging people away from their comfort zones, but not asking them necessarily to change rapidly what they do.
Okay, I realised we jumped past one question that would kind of help set up things a little bit easier. So let me just go back to that quickly. Why do you think SM&R is the right kind of approach for NRW to be adopting?
Well, I think we have such a broad range of functions across the whole of the business that we can quite easily focus in on any one particular function and the delivery of that particular function for its desired outcomes. And we all know the environment doesn't work like that. It's so multifaceted, it's so interdimensional. You need to think about the knock-on implications. You need to realise that you could be working in a particular place right next door to another part of the business who's trying to do something very similar or even very different. So, I mean, it's right for NRW to take that more holistic approach to the way in which we undertake our functions. And the nature of the functions, I mean, a lot of them are very regulatory, and understanding that the role of that regulation, not from a very kind of functional based approach, but looking at it from a kind of, well, what actually do we need our natural resources to be doing for us, and providing us with in the future, and how do we ensure we're safeguarding the resilience of ecosystems to deliver that? It's really, really important.
Okay.
And we're not a one-trick pony. We've got so many different types of tools and delivery mechanisms, and sometimes we just need to take a step back and say, how do we get to where we want to get to? Are we pulling the right levers? Are we using the right tools? So yeah, it's absolutely important, I think, for NRW to be applying that approach.
Okay. So to summarise, it is something of a complex approach, though, that matches the complexity of the natural world and the complexity of management.
I think that's a really good summary. I'm just going to pop to the door. There's someone at the door.
Sure, no worries. All good?
Apologies.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay. So part of that then is part of this new culture. Therefore, has to be around empowering people to deal with complexity. Is that fair?
Yes. Yeah, it is, and you know, just saying that to somebody, you know, your job's going to get more complex, but we want you to be able to cope with that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really difficult message, but you know, that's why, I don't know, we'll probably come on to I don't know if we come on to performance measurement, but I think that's why, you know, being clear, rewarding connectivity and how well connected people are with other people has got to be a really valuable part of that.
Well, how do you do that? I haven't talked about it with anybody else yet, so I'd be fascinated to hear performance measures for the individual scale. How are you going to measure performance against SMNR at the individual scale?
Well, I think it's more about behaviours than it is about results. Mm-hmm. Although, of course, you will always be judged on the outcomes that we deliver. So I think there needs to be a good balance in terms of performance measurement around you know, what behaviours are we demonstrating, and understanding our own kind of behaviours, and from a sort of 360 review sort of process is again, it's quite challenging on individuals, because you're really asking them to take a deep hard look at themselves and how they act. I don't have the. This is a question that I'm really keen to explore. Actually, is how do you evaluate how connected a person or an organisation is? It's more than just how many friends you've got on Facebook or LinkedIn. It's about, you know, how can you really demonstrate that connectedness is which I'm convinced is a really important part of dealing with complexity, mm-hmm. and so are the writers around systems thinking, systems approaches. So how do you embed that in part of your performance management? I don't know the answer to that. I'd be very happy if you've got some.
Well, I've got some ideas. Maybe we'll talk about it afterwards. I do have a couple of ideas,
okay.
And
that's great.
So that is very interesting then. So it does somewhat suggest, however, that it's that you are to the outside world, externally, NRW is still going to meet its targets that it has to be set to engage with its external partners, but internally it's going to be maybe more of a culture and behaviour-led organisation. Is that fair?
I think it needs to be. Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll get away from the outcome-led approach. I think we need to report to Welsh Government. We use taxpayers' money. People want to see results. They want to know where we've spent that money. So that there's always going to be that element of target-based performance. Mm. But having said that, I do think internally that we need to be much more values and behaviours led. Yeah, that's my view. Mm.
So do you feel, therefore, in terms of the ways that you evaluate, the methods you use for evaluating success within the organisation, when communicating those externally to other external partners like Welsh Government, you need to kind of take account of what they want to see?
Yeah, I mean, and I think in some ways we've got a framework set in the other bit of legislation, the Future Generations Act, which is encouraging public bodies to think and work differently. And, we need to remind Welsh Government that we are working to a method. So that might take longer to drive results, but it's the method that they want us to work to because it's enshrined in the legislation.
So is there an ability for you to in turn influence Welsh Government and other external partners as to using maybe more qualitative or different types of methodologies for evaluating success?
There certainly is in relation to public bodies and working through Future Generation Commissioner's Office and the Wells Audit Office. And I think that they've been investigating